Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live from our comfy couch here on the outskirts of the internet. This is the Gaming Saloon Reviews for February 16th, 2020, with your host, Peacemaker244H, Henramp at Epsilon.
Hi.
We are still with Ghosts. These 4 episodes, they are...
a thing.
I can't say bad, because I don't think they're bad.
No, they're just definitely a thing.
I think the correct term is the term I've heard described Ryusoulger, which is aggressively mediocre. So yeah, we're covering episodes 13 through 16 this week, the January batch of episodes. We're finally into the second part of the series, if you want to call it that. How do you feel going in?
I'm kind of just along for the ride at this point until we get to the stuff I've not seen, because I'm like, yep, everything that I'm still seeing as stuff I felt was bad about it to begin with is still there. So it's like, yeah, apparently that wasn't just clouded judgment, which is probably a good thing.
It's weird how I think like most people are like, oh, the opinion of the previous show is affecting my opinion of the current show, and I go, not really, no, it's not.
I mean,
most of the time it's not.
It can to a point.
Yeah.
And it can depend on how strong the show before it was.
Yeah.
Because I know that actually did kind of happen for the first little bit of Drive for me because of the way Gaim went.
Yeah.
I feel like, though, especially now us going back through, yeah, when I dropped off of Ghost, that was just because of Ghost, not because of because of Drive. That was just, no, Ghost. I mean...
Yeah. I honestly feel like 90% of the time, you're not wrong if you think a show is not good or not, or is good or not, coming off of a really good show. Like, if you are down on the show coming out of a good show, maybe just don't watch it for a few weeks and then come back to it. That way you've, like, completely cleansed your palate, and then you can come in fresh.
Because in all seriousness, that did change my opinion for Drive. Once I finally just got over that point of, this is not going to be like Gaim, this is going to more be akin to what we've seen before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I usually just try to come into a show with it going, okay, clean slate. The only things I ever get hung up on are oh wow, we are back to doing little things that we do in the first episodes, like taking forever to transform and really focusing on the gimmicks and all these other little things here and there. Those trip me up more than anything at the start of a show.
And you know what's bad? I almost feel like 01 might have the opposite going for it. Because it almost feels like, while it does do some of the normal stuff, it literally is only doing the normal stuff.
Yeah.
That might be the one exception to that kind of deal, where it kind of goes the opposite direction. But I guess at the same time, of course, I wasn't watching Decade and Double back to back kind of deal, so I guess I can't say the same for that, but I would have to think that might be the two cases where your opinion could be skewed the opposite direction, actually.
Yeah, I feel that way. Granted, I watch those shows in reverse order. Double, like, I watched Decade after watching Double. So going back to that show is one of those cases of, oh, well, this show's not particularly good, but I'm not upset about it. Granted, I didn't watch the 9 shows previous to Decade, so I didn't have anything to be upset about to start with.
Very true.
Also, weirdly enough, 01 this week kind of feels like a one-off episode.
Really?
Kind of, yeah. Well, more or less, like, the B plot is a one-off episode, but we do carry things over into the next episode. So it's one of those, like, pseudo two-parters that we had in the beginning of the series. Where it's like, okay, there's carryover point here, but it's not the B plot. Or it's not the episode plot. Because that's resolved and we're done.
Well then.
Yeah, it's weird, but we also are getting the Progress Blade next week. Which is one of those cases of, I understand why Soto is taking a break from 01 right now, because there is not a whole lot they can do for 01 right now in Soto to show off. That's coming out in that set at the end of next month. Which literally gives them, I think, like 5 weeks worth of blogs, and it's just like, okay, so we could blow everything now, or we could just wait, because I believe, like, Vulcan's new form is next month. Supposedly the Burning Gin Progress Key is next month too, I believe.
Supposedly, anyhow.
Yeah. It's like those are 2 things next month, plus the 2 movie forms in Ikazuchi that they haven't done, so I can kind of understand why Soto's just like, oh, we're taking a break while 01's like, calm down for a few episodes outside of Metal Hopper. And Aruto going, ah, shit, my belt's broken. I can only use Metal Hopper. Fuck, I have to fight. Well, guess I'm going in again. And hope I don't kill somebody. That is the best way to describe this week's episode is Aruto wants to fight, but has to go to hell to do it. Well, I guess I'm jumping into hell again. Maybe I should stop doing this. Anywho, shall we get to Ghost?
I guess.
Alright, we kick things off this week with episode 13. Exciting! A free man! Exciting is not what I would call these 4 episodes.
At all.
No. So we start with Takaru at his father's grave, doing his usual thing, saying that he will connect the 15 icons, even though he has no idea how to do that because no one told him how to.
And no one will tell him how to either.
And I'm not sure anyone actually knows how to start with, so This is where Makoto drops by to pay his respects to Takaru's father, and also say that he will tell Takaru everything, but he's got to deal with his baggage first, so he's gonna go deal with that, except he doesn't go deal with it, so more or less we are told that someone knows information, but they're not going to tell us the information because of caveats that prevent them from telling us information. This is where we transfer. What?
I just said,
Yeah. We cut to the Genma world, where we see Alan have 2 Genmas power up. One of them is the same one from the first episode they tell Takaru. The other one is a spaceman. Only one of these is surviving this episode. The 2 of them leave while Alan decides to go talk to his brother. We don't get to see that conversation yet because we cut to the 2 Genma as one of them, the spaceman one, starts to interfere with the communications and electronics and stuff for reasons we will see in a bit. But we cut to some random guy whose phone call is interrupted by this situation, and it causes him to drop his phone, where we see the Ryoma icon next to the phone. And this is when the icon possesses this guy. And now that Ryoma has possessed this guy, because it's actually Ryoma, yes, the people that are supposed to be, that are these icons named after, they are in the icons. These are their exact souls. Somehow. Don't worry about it.
Reasons.
He's off to go explore modern-day Japan because he's aware that he is in modern-day Japan because... Shut up, it lets us not have to deal with something.
Because apparently all the icons have been sentient from start?
Yes?
Because later in the episode, he also recalls the fact that, Takaru spent the wish. And exactly everything actually leading up to this point, which is like, wait, where have you been?
Where are you?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back with Team Ghost, they are discussing events, but Takaru is currently distracted by trying to talk to Musashi, which isn't working because I guess that's not how that works. Yep.
Because literally that's all this boils down to. It's not Musashi's arc, so he don't get to talk to him.
More or less. So, Takaru decides to go downstairs, see if Sage will tell him anything. Turns out, no. No, he won't. He will never tell us anything. Fuck off. And as I say in the notes, what are you useful for? Why are you here? What do? You do nothing. You are literally useless. Yurisen is more useful than you, and he's only useful for recalling the bike or the goddamn boat. Yep. That's it. You are useless. Fucking useless.
The only thing
do something
that Sage is useful for is bringing Takaru up to speed as to what icon he's looking for in the weekly episode kind of deal, but outside of that, not even that really.
Except that he brings up his like, Houdini is this week, and Takaru's like, fucking Makoto has the Houdini icon. What are you talking about? Why are we doing this bit? Sage, what the fuck? And he's just like, bye. Ugh. Anyway, Sage fucks off like he usually does. And Onari drops by because we got our case for the week. Our case is essentially the Genma, specifically our spaceman Genma, is using these interruptions in communications to shock people and it allows him to yoink their souls out of their body and into him for reasons. We don't get to the why the Genma are stealing people's souls. And yes, it is quite literally their souls. Anyway, Takaru, Akari, and Onari are off to investigate. And this is when they run into Ryoma, who is telling people is giving like life advice or something. I don't remember, and I don't care because it's not important. Takaru, based off Yurisen telling him, he's possessed by an icon, thinks he's possessed by a Genma icon. And Yurisen doesn't get to get the words out of, he's not possessed by that kind of icon, he's possessed by the other kind of icon. Before Takaru transforms, Ryoma flips him once, and Yurisen's like, he's possessed by Ryoma. And Takaru's like, oh, my bad. So with that cleared up, Takaru tries to tell Ryoma to connect with him, except Ryoma doesn't know what the fuck that is. Because of course he doesn't. Why would he know what that is? But Ryoma does say that he will help them, since he knows Takaru wants to revive. But before he does, he needs to help the guy he's possessing, and do what he calls the Sacho Alliance, which turns out to just be a pun. Yeah, which turns out to just be a pun. But before Takaru can help, he's interrupted by having to go deal with the Genma for the week. So he goes off, finds the spaceman stealing people's souls, but he's then attacked by the Genma that is the same one for episode 1. I don't know if it's the exact same Genma, but the Genma do have a respawn mechanic, so it's entirely possible it is.
I think it is alluded as that way, but I also think that it is... No. Actually, it's alluded that way from both of them. So it probably is. Because I was going to say, I actually think Takaru is the only one that said anything, but no, I remember that Gamma also made a comment about it wouldn't be as easy as the last time.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
So yes, this is the same person. Or same Genma. So Takaru's 2v1 on them for a little bit. And Inari and Akari show up, and Inari's like, "Hey Takaru, use Goemon! Goemon is the icon this week. You should use it." But Makoto arrives to help, so Takaru doesn't end up using it. So the two of them split up the Genma, beat him up, more or less force the Genma to retreat, all while Inari's just like, "Use Goemon," and Takaru's like, "No, I'm using other icons. It's not time." So after they retreat, Makoto heads out. So Ryoma shows up, and more or less Takaru is forced onto the B plot for the episode, while everyone else gets to go do the A plot. And I cannot help but be annoyed by this, because this fucking B plot goes fucking nowhere in circles the entire 2 episodes. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, now Takaru's doing this. He's also not told what to do, and is just left with the guy that Ryoma's been possessing, which... Thanks. I haven't had enough of Takaru just not being told what to do, and just having to fucking figure it out. Fuck's sakes. Tell this child something relevant. So Takaru and this guy head out. And Takaru more or less just tells him the whole truth. And the guy does take it well because he likes Ryoma. So, whatever. It's one of those, this is here so we don't have to deal with that thing. And we're moving on. We find out that he's an engineer and he wants to build a new satellite, but he needs his father's help to do so. And his father doesn't want to help because of reasons we'll get to later. Meanwhile, we check in with Alan real quick as he's continuing his plans with the Genma. And then meanwhile, as we cut again to the team as they're working to find the Genma and have it narrowed down to a localized area because they've more or less figured out, okay, a bunch of people have had their souls taken from them here. So they must be within here, essentially. But back over with Takaru. Him and the guy drop by where his dad is. And we find out that the father doesn't want to. And it doesn't go well because the dad is grumpy and he wants to be left alone, more or less. And they get run out of the building. So Takaru has made exactly 0 progress on a situation he has no idea what the hell's going on in. Great. And this is where Ryoma intervenes to more or less tell him, try harder! Do it better! God damn it. Thankfully, something interesting happens because the Genma attacks and Takaru goes boost to try to fight him. Unfortunately, the Genma is fast. So Takaru can't fight him until Inari just fucking stumbles into the fight. Because what the fuck was Inari doing during this entire episode? From like some point forward? Because I don't remember.
I don't quite remember either.
All I know is he shows up stumbling about, and I'm just like, Onari, how the fuck did you know? Whatever. So now Onari passes Takaru the Goemon icon. So Takaru goes Goemon. And with the Sunglass Slasher's finisher, he takes out the Genma with ease. Once more, I keep referring to that weapon as Brain's weapon because I refuse to not make that joke in notes. But we end the episode with Alan and the other Genma taking over a satellite station so they can go hijack a satellite. So they can make a bigger area. They can yoink people's souls from their bodies. And that's the entire episode. Which takes us to episode 14, Superb View, the Earth's Dawn. It's the next day. Our team's going over the new info they have about the new info they have. And Takaru is once more stuck on the B plot while everyone else gets to do the important stuff. Takaru finds out that this guy's brother died in an accident after having an argument with their father over specs on a satellite or something. They didn't get into details, and I don't care enough to remember what it was. So the father's been mourning him and doesn't want to do engineering work and hasn't really recovered from it. But over with the team, they find out where the Genma are, and Onari and Shibuya go off to investigate, while Akari and the other monk that I keep forgetting to get the name of, I think it's Narita.
I think you're
Narita.
right.
The fucking Naruto. I'm gonna end up calling him Naruto for eternity now.
Probably.
Because I just thought of it, because it's close enough. Stay behind to monitor stuff. Akari calls in Makoto for backup while he's visiting Kanon, and Kanon more or less tells him, hey, why don't you go be useful and go help? Go help. Go be useful. Go be useful in the plot, unlike me, who's not useful in the plot of this series at all for large chunks of it. Meanwhile, back with Takaru and the guy, Takaru decides to sneak into the father's office, sees that he blamed himself for everything. Takaru reveals himself, tries to use a bit of monk wisdom to turn things around, and it fails because his wisdom stat is not high enough, unlike our last two writers. So monk wisdom does not work. Back over with Akari and Shibuya. They find the Genma, only to be ambushed by more Genma that are behind them because they forgot to do a circle with the lantern to see where all the Genma were, instead of just the ones in front of them. Bravo, guys.
Well, they are supposed to be comedic relief anyhow, so...
Yeah. So they're ambushed, and they call Takaru for help. Only for Takaru, at this point, to be stonewalled on trying to patch things up even more. But he goes to leave, only for Makoto to show up with the others, and it's like, I will help them. You deal with B plot stuff. Bye. So Makoto ends up cleaning up all of the Genma, while Takaru is stuck helping these two people, whose problem is that they apparently don't understand that they want the same thing. For the same reasons.
But refuse to tell each other.
More or less. So Takaru, fed up with this bullshit just as much as I feel like I am, just rams the two of them together, metaphorically bangs their heads together and go, you want the same thing for the same reasons. Stop being dumbasses about this and fucking work together. Please, for the love of God. I want to go fight something. And so they finally get on the same page, and they are now going to be doing the satellite thing later and other stuff. But back over the Kairi she finds out the Genma are at the satellite station because they found a area where there was some spots that people got their souls stolen that before the big mass area steal. And this is when the Genma hijacks the satellite, and the guy that we've been following gets the call saying, "Hey, our satellite's been hijacked by things we don't know, I guess," or something. I guess all they know is it's being hijacked. I would think a satellite being hijacked would be a big fucking deal.
Yeah. It would seem like it.
Yeah. So the Genma starts stealing souls on a really large scale. And this causes everyone to more or less converge on the station. And once we're there, Takaru Makoto, after Takaru makes a little speech of sorts, transform to fight the Genma, while the father and son duo go to free the satellite. Also, because of this speech, Takaru now has the Ryoma icon, because Ryoma is like, "Hey, you did good work. Here's my icon." So they go boost Inspector respectively, and as they're fighting, Alan shows up, who isn't transformed, doesn't have any like Genma Superior or any other like monster form. He's just him, and he's fighting Spectre just like this, and actually kicking his ass. Because that's, I guess, how strong Alan is on his own. Makoto tries to use the Houdini icon, and it denies him, so he ends up having to go Nobunaga for the fight. So Takaru goes Ryoma and hops on a ride. What?
Discord broke.
Shit. When did it break?
When Houdini denied Spectre.
Okay. So yeah, Makoto goes Nobunaga for the fight. Family gets the satellite back, and the Genma flies off to go hijack it in person, because that's how satellites work, I guess. I'm pretty sure that's not how satellites work.
Probably not. No.
Yeah, so Takaru ends up going Ryoma and hops on a ride on Captain Ghost to go into space. Which I like the Takaru's where he's like, "Wait a minute, I can't breathe in space! I'm gonna die! Oh wait, I'm already dead. Oh, I guess I don't have to worry about that part. Okay."
Yeah. I've got to say I do kind of like that.
Yeah. A bit of the weak, or a bit weak on the Uchu Kata, to be honest.
Yeah. But I mean, truthfully, has he ever met Gentro?
I'm trying to think if he's
at the point that we are at in the show.
Yeah, no.
So then he has no reference.
I was trying to think if he even met Gentro in the movie that they are both in.
I
don't think they did.
I think the only time might have been the super not canon, we're throwing everyone in movies that we hate, that we don't try to mention any more than we have to.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't think it was enough to know? Question mark?
Yeah.
That would basically, for me to know that answer would result in me rewatching, and I'm not. So.
No. If you have, please tell us, because we're not. I don't want to touch those movies as much as I don't want to touch those movies more than I ever have to.
So ever again?
Yes.
Except I think, isn't that one of them?
We're watching a movie that's in the time slot,
okay,
but I don't know if you counts it as the movie.
Well, then we're fine.
Yeah. So Takaru ends up fighting the Genma, and I swear he does a planet shooting attack thing, and I swear they're in the same formation that like Waz uses for his Ginga form. So I'm assuming that's a thing.
I didn't think about it, but I bet it is.
Yeah. Because I saw like the cross-shaped pattern of the planets, and I'm just like, wait a minute, Waz has that on his. Waz has that for Ginga too. What the? Is that a thing? Is that a space thing that I'm not aware of? Because I'm willing to bet it's a space thing I'm not aware of. But anyway, Takaru blows up the Genma because with his sunglass Asher shooting attack. So episode is done. He gets to enjoy a view to space, and we wrap up with him telling the team about it. Father and son make the papers about their satellite stuff, and Takaru says he's going to connect with Musashi first. And we cut into the icon and see Musashi sitting there waiting, I guess, in the generic icon suit with the parka that we will be getting to be, or we will become very familiar with over the course of the next rest of the show. And that's the episode. How'd you feel about these first two episodes?
I mean, it's a thing.
That you can apply that a lot to Ghosts.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I don't know. They're fine. I'm just not invested in this B plot that we are forced to be a part of with Takaru, because Ryoma's just like, you gotta patch things up with these two people, and it's not that complicated and it's not that interesting, and it just keeps going in circles, and I'm just like, I'm so fed up with this. I want to move on. Meanwhile, we continue to get no progress on anything else, and just no anything else interesting. It's just like, I'm so bored. So, ready to hit the second half of the episodes?
I guess so.
Alright, we kick off with episode 15, Anguish, the Stubborn Escape King. It's a normal day in town, only to be interrupted by one of the portals opening, and a Grendel shouts out and then leaves to go somewhere for the rest of the episode. I have no idea where, until it shows up later. This is just weird. But our team is currently busy because they're prepping a little party of sorts, because Kanon's been released from the hospital. And we also run into our only other recurring, supporting character, Fumi, who runs the Takoyaki stand. And yes, she is a recurring supporting character. She will return, and weirdly enough, she's an important part of Alan's character arc for the entire series.
Oh, yeah. I forgot she does keep popping up for a while.
Yeah, and like I said, she's integral to Alan's character arc. Well, his character arc and his little Blu-ray DVD side story thing. Because she's also important in there. But anyway, Fumi's stand, the team has visited, frequenced over the years, so they're having it here, and everyone's in high spirits because, hey, it's a time to celebrate. Except Makoto's a bit down because he can't use Houdini. And Takaru more or less just tells him, why don't you become friends with Houdini? It works for me! When have you ever become friends with any of your icons to start with? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Takaru, you don't even follow your own advice. The icons just work for you. I'm not sure that's how that works. Whatever. Anyway, we cut over to Alan, where we see that Jabel has respawned and is here to help Alan again. Maybe. It's not going to last that long.
No, Jabber will die soon. I mean, Jabel will die soon.
Nah, he's a fucking jobber. He is A+ jobber material, to be honest.
I feel like that might have been an intentional for his name kind of deal.
I would not be surprised because wrestling is a thing in Japan. Fairly big in Japan, to be honest.
I just feel like that would be immensely funny if that was intentionally done that way.
Yep. Hell, we will see a professional wrestler be a villain in one of the movies we get to cover. Well, a Japanese professional wrestler, mind you. But back over Takaru, he still can't talk to Musashi, but apparently Onari can talk to Goemon. Except he can't, as we'll find. Supposedly. We'll find out later that he can't, because I don't know. No, it's just a thing in here. It's whatever. Anyway, Sage shows up once more to be like, "Ah, hey, the Gemma world is hell! And that's it! That's all I'm telling you! Goodbye!" Fuck off! You old bastard! You are literally the most annoying character in this fucking series. Oh, and he also is like, Houdini's the icon this week, and I'm just like, oh my god. We're not even getting the icon! Makoto already has the icon! Why are we doing this bit? You didn't even do this bit for Goemon! You did it for Ryoma, but you didn't do it for Goemon! Why? Ah! Sage frustrates me to no end. For so many reasons. Anyway, we cut over to Makoto and Kenon. They're back at the food stall, and this is like the next day or so, I guess, at this point. Where Alan shows up and he's like, Makoto, I want to talk to you real quick. So the two of them go off to chat in private about more or less Makoto deciding to be a traitor to the Genma. And Alan doesn't like that. But Makoto doesn't like that Alan is pulling all of this bullshit, so, it's whatever. This is when Jabel drops in, and he attacks Makoto. And Makoto transforms, and unfortunately he is no match for the Superior, because Jabel has his no-selling boots on, because he no-sells everything. And as an extra kick, literally buries Makoto in a pile of sand. At this point, all I did in the notes was wrestling puns for anything I could do. So this is when Takaru shows up, and he goes Newton to save Makoto. And he tries to help Makoto. Makoto's like, no, I want to do this fight on my own. And that proceeds to get him knocked the fuck out of his transformation. So Takaru has to go boost to fight Jabel, who continues to no-sell, even though this is the form that literally blew his ass up 3 episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sure, I guess you got more powerful on your respawn, whatever.
Because that's how that works, right?
Yeah, apparently. He also no-sells Goemon, so yay. This is when Alan steps in to call off Jabel, and then leaves. But Jabel deciding that, right, I can teleport. Why don't I teleport 2 feet to the right, kidnap Kanon, and then teleport away?
They'll never see that coming.
I know. So now Kanon's been kidnapped, and everybody is scrambling around town to find her. And nobody's had any luck, especially Takaru, who asked Yurzin real quick to help. And Yurzin is fucking useless as usual.
I mean,
great!
That's kind of a recurring theme at this point.
Yeah. So this is when a Genma icon shows up to Makoto and more or less shows him a map and a bunch of text, and it's more or less a, hey, Kanon will be here. Go here, and you will get her back, I guess, or whatever. I don't know. Nobody translated the text, so I don't know what the message was. So Makoto's like, I'm not strong enough. I need Houdini. Houdini, work for me, goddammit, and tries to use him. And Houdini's like, no. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drape a bunch of chains on you to weigh you down, and I'm going to try to run you over with your own goddamn bike. Because Houdini's a dick. So Makoto takes this as a challenge, while Onari, the entire episode, has been looking for the Grendel because they got reports of a dragon, and no one thought it was a Grendel, even though they've seen Grendels before, but whatever. I don't know why Onari is like sidelined with this dumb plot that makes no sense for the entire episode.
Probably because Onari put himself on it, would be my guess.
Probably.
Because that sounds like something he would do.
So, in between checking in with Onari, we've now cut back to Makoto, and he's gotten the shit kicked out of him by his own bike. And this is when Chakra and Akari arrive, because apparently they heard the sounds of somebody jobbing to their own bike. Takaru tries to intervene now, but Makoto's like, no, I want to fight. This is my fight. I want to save Kanon this time. Let me do this. Meh. And Takaru's like, okay, sure. It's your episode. I'll be over here.
Yeah, he kind of was just like, okay, if you want to die, go for it.
Yep. So he stays back, and Makoto manages to get on his bike again with a fancy flip and riding along it for a hot second. And he gets it back just by hitting the brake, which, okay, I think you would have to do more than that at this point. But I guess Houdini's going to give you a break considering he got to kick your ass for God knows how long. So without even attempting to have someone patch him up, he heads out to where Jabel is with Kanon. Still injured, mind you, thinking he's going to win this fight now. Also still weighed down by the chains. So he transforms and jobs out to Jabel again. And Takaru arrives seeing this and more or less once more stays on the sidelines because this is Makoto's episode. It's not my episode. I don't get to save the day today. So Makoto continues the job, and Jabel decides to tag in the Grendel from earlier in the episode because now it's important and it needed to be around the entire episode instead of just being spawned here. So whatever. And the two of them fuse, and by fuse I mean Jabel just heads inside the Grendel and is, I guess, controlling it from the inside, and the Grendel is unchanged. Unless I missed something. Because I don't think the Grendel was the Grendel unchanged or not? I don't remember.
I think it had minor changes, but it wasn't enough to matter.
Yeah. So Makoto is once more buried under debris, or buried again, this time under debris of a nearby building, because theming. I guess they wanted to go with this idea of like, oh yeah, one of Houdini's biggest illusions was being buried alive, and well, here's Makoto being buried alive twice. So with Makoto buried, Takaru now intervenes as Boost. Unfortunately, he is no match for our tag team here. But this is when Makoto finally just asks Houdini for help, and it responds by freeing Makoto from the debris and the chains, and breaking Makoto's transformation, but So Makoto now goes Houdini, revealing that, by the way, his bike is also doubles as the Houdini parka, because
reasons.
Toys is my best answer. Toys. It means that Makoto's bike has more relevance than Takaru's bike.
True.
Granted, yeah. So, with the new ability that lets him fly, because Houdini, He saves Kanon, drops her off to Takaru so that she can be safe, and then goes on to fight the Grendel and Jabel tag team. So, some fancy tricks of a disappearing act and binding him up with chains. He blows up Jabel and the Grendel with a spinning rider kick. With a drum roll, mind you, because Houdini. I'll admit, that was probably the most entertaining part of that. So the day is saved. Makoto and Kanon head out. And this is when Takaru is pulled into the Musashi icon. They have a talk with Musashi going, hey, you trusted in your friend and you believed in him, and that earned you respect from me. More or less, this is how Takaru is going to be connecting with the icons from here on out. So we are now +1 from 0 on the connections. Only 14 more to go. But we end the episode with Alan deciding that, fuck it, I'm going to do things myself now, and he claims the Necrom icon in the Genma world. So guess who's showing up in the next episode?
Yeah, and I've kind of got a slight problem with how quick we speed into Necrom, but okay.
Well, yeah. So that takes us to episode 16. Perfect! The White Kamen Rider. In the Genma world, Alan's brother is more or less read up on the situation by a character we'll be introduced to later. By the way, this Genma with a hood and stuff is important, but I'm not even going to bother with his name. He'll come in later. Cutting over to Makoto, he tells Kanon that he's going to take care of his mistakes, which, cutting over to Team Ghost, we will soon find out how he's going to do that, because they recap what we know about the Genma, and more or less land onto, we don't know why they're doing this, which I feel like should be important at this point, but we don't, so yeah, we still not going anywhere fast. So as they head out to go find Makoto drops by, and him and Takaru have a private chat at his father's grave. And we find out that Makoto's going to go back to the Genma world, alone, to fix his problems, because that sounds like a smart idea. Spoilers, that's not a smart idea.
Far from it, actually.
Yeah, Takaru doesn't want him to go alone, but he tells him, no, stay here, protect Kanon. But all of this is quickly interrupted by an army of Genma arriving through a portal under the command of a mysterious rider that we see shrouded in shadow that will last all of like 2 minutes. So our team heads out to intercept the army. Takaru and Makoto end up fighting them. Or fighting in the middle of them, untransform, then transform, and then fight them some more until a portal opens and a mysterious rider descends, blowing up the battlefield and knocking several of the Genma down. And this is, in fact, Necrom, our third rider, and our only other proper, real, actually matters rider for the rest of the series. I have to clarify that because of things that will happen later.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
We get not... Yeah.
I actually
we see
forgot about that little detail.
Yep. So, as we see... Yeah, don't worry. There's another one past that one. They make a lot of use out of the Dark Ghost suit. Like a lot of use, to be honest. As we see, Necrom has complete command of the goons, and he uses them more or less to coordinate attacks against the riders, and also to protect himself from fire, because they absorb the attacks that he doesn't want to take, because he doesn't feel like it. But the Ghost Inspector take out the goons, and Necrom ends up revealing himself through voice that is in fact Alan, and he fights Makoto. Unfortunately, Makoto is no match for Necrom because this is his debut episode. He's not doing the job. Sorry, Makoto, you're doing the job once more. Takaru tries to talk the both of them down since they seem to be friends, but it doesn't work because Alan is more or less dead set on his mission, which is to take people and get rid of their human forms and leave them just as souls, and I guess shove them into icons or something. I don't remember the full explanation of what his motive is at the moment.
I don't remember either.
Yep. So with this fight continuing, the two go boost in respectively, try to counter Necrom, but once more his tricks are too good, because not only can he just control goons to act as a shield, he can also turn his body liquid and just have a finisher pass straight through him, so he's kind of indestructible. He then proceeds to take out the two heroic icons that Jabel took way back when, Grim and Sanzo, and he forces Grim to work for him. So, way to one-up Makoto on that respect. Oh, an icon didn't work for you? You didn't try hard enough. You didn't squeeze it hard enough to make it work for you. So as Grim, the double author Parka is too much for our writers, and they more or less are forced to retreat. On the back of Makoto, mind you, because he goes Houdini and the two of them escape on that. We cut back to the temple, as Takaru more or less ends up not knowing what to do as Makoto leaves. Now Kanon decides, oh yeah, Takaru, you should know that Alan is Makoto's friend, and he helped us in the Genma world. And that kind of confuses him, because it's like, wait, what the fuck happened? Can someone tell me what happened here? No one's telling me what happened between the two of you, ever. Meanwhile, Akari is investigating a piece of one of the Genma icons that she picked up from the fight earlier, and we'll see her try to dismantle it more, and nothing seems to work. So, I actually kind of enjoyed that scene of just trying to break it with everything on hand, and nothing seems to be breaking it. Huh. Damn. Meanwhile, Onari decides to tell Makoto as he goes to meet Alan so they can fight some more. And indeed, they do when they meet up. And once more, Makoto is jobbing because it's not your episode, it's Alan's episode. You're doing the job, whether you like it or not, even though you have a brand new icon to use. But as they're fighting, we see that Necrom times out, kind of, like runs out of fuel. And we see that fuel is Genma bodies, so he has to absorb them to continue to fight. I don't think this gets to use, like, ever after this point.
I think you're right, actually.
When I saw this, I'm just like, wait a minute, that doesn't matter past this episode.
Okay.
I
think maybe it does, but not in a fashion of he replenishes it. I think it's just he's done at that point.
More or less.
And then I bet they even drop that because, that's kind of a dumb gimmick.
Yep. I think it's only here to make sure that that Alan doesn't blow the two of them up, like, fully and completely.
I mean,
anyway,
I guess I can see that.
Yeah, that's my only explanation. Anyway, as Makoto continues to lose, Takaru finally shows up to help, riding in and transforming in a neat-looking scene. Only he's going to job out to Necrom as well, because as they continue to fight, he tries to do a rider kick on him, only for Alan to just go, fuck you, and just tosses a Genma icon to the side. It ends up possessing that Genma, or like transferring his body over to it after taking the rider kick, because fuck you, I'm practically invincible, I guess, is the implication of that. So at this point, Necrom decides that he wants to end this fight, so he goes for his own rider kick finisher, and Takaru just manages to take the edge off of it with not one, but two finishers combined together. And it just knocks him and Makoto out of their transformation. So at this point, Necrom finally times out fully, so Alan just leaves because it's like, I made my point, I made my debut, bye. Back at the temple, Makoto is getting patched up while the team regroups. Sage is, of course, nowhere to be found, because of course he's not. Yurisen is not helpful, which is the normal. And Takaru gets a talk from Robin Hood, more or less telling him, hey, people have different perspectives on situations, and maybe your justice is not the same as Necrom's justice, and maybe there's more to the situation. More or less telling him, hey, maybe you should find out what the fuck's going on.
Instead of jumping to conclusions.
More or less. And that's our episode. So how'd you feel about these two?
Like I said, I feel like my biggest problem with this batch is rush of plot dump. Because we forgot to sprinkle this throughout the first bit.
Yep. I mean, I like Necrom as a suit.
Yeah.
Oh boy, am I still kind of bored in this show? Because I'm just like, hey, you showed up and proceeded to kick everybody's ass. You're great. You are practically invincible. And that is going to get downplayed over the course of the next few dozen episodes or so. As you will proceed to not do several of these things you did in this episode. So yeah, Ghost continues to be meh.
Could be worse.
Yeah, it could be Geo. At least I can at least have fun with certain scenes in the show.
And at least it has its own continuity.
Yes.
Even though it doesn't work with any of its outside material, but show continuity is something. That's more than Geo has.
Yep. But unfortunately, we're not going to be seeing Necrom too much next week, because next time, Necrom decides, hey, what happens if I put my icon in the Inspector's Ghost Driver? Forcibly. And also, I think more like the last of the heroic icons get introduced, maybe. That I have to check. I feel like we will at least get Himiko in the next batch of episodes.
I think we do, because I think that's in the preview.
Yeah, that's next week's episode.
So that's at least in the next batch, but I don't remember how far more. Also,
we do get.
How many episodes are we away from Grateful?
Because
I'm getting this weird feeling that we might be closer to it than I think.
Episode 23.
Well, no, that's about where I figured then. Okay.
Nope, it's 23.
So that means the last episode of that batch will be the first one that I will have actually touched. As far as in a new fashion.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we have fun things to look forward to in our future. And wow, we have a long while till we hit another movie. Yeah, that's next week. All this week, kind of the same stuff. Well, not on Wednesday because I'm doing Wonderful 101, but Kingdom Hearts 3 on Thursday. Friday is or is not Wind Waker.
It might be this week.
Okay. And Saturday will be the podcast, and maybe we'll get a direct to talk about this week.
Maybe.
Maybe. It'd be more news than we're normally getting at the moment. But anyway, if you enjoy what you're watching, drop us a follow. We really appreciate it. Chipping away at that follower goal. At TG Saloon on Twitter, we'll get you updates on when we go live. And exclamation point Discord and chat gets you the Discord link. Drop by, say hi, drop us questions in the question drop box. We will answer them here on our other podcast. Depends on where it's more relevant. But that'll do it for me and for Tommy. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.